Hello everyone, I hope you're having a good time. Well, my group is confirmed by Luis Moreno and me, Taimi Osuna. For today's lesson, we are going to talk about connectors. So, let's start. Connectors are used to express relationships between ideas and to combine sentences that are part of a text. If you want to add style and make your writing more sophisticated, you should use sentence connectors. These are an important tool for writing professionally in English. Their purpose is to join information together within a sentence. Using connectors correctly will help ensure the meaning of your sentences are clear for the readers to understand.
There is a question that maybe you have done on this. When do we use each connector? Before that, we have to know that connectors are divided in categories. The use depends on what you want to express, what you want to write, or maybe to say. It depends on you. It just depends on you. There is a specific category for what you need, for what you want. For example, if you need to make comparison, you need to compare some things or maybe ideas. Obviously, you have to use comparison connectors. It's the same with contrast and more. And now, there is the answer of the question. As you know, we use connectors when we need to link some words, some phrases, some statements to make coherency, to make the text coherent. It's for that we use connectors. So, we decided to explain the categories of connectors. Why not one by one connector? It's because there are many connectors and it's a little bit difficult to explain one by one. So we decided to explain the category and give you some examples to show you how to use the category, how the category works in the text, in a sentence especially. So we are gonna explain you the category and give you some examples.
Addition. As you can see here, we have some of the addition connectors. These are used when you want to expand an idea by adding arguments. For example, she has got not only a motorbike, but also a car. Another example would be,
the officer is unwilling to admit his mistake. Moreover, he has proved that he is totally incapable of handling the situation.
examples. We used illustration to clarify an idea by using examples. For example, you might, for instance, see a dog in the street.
Comparison. This category is used when you need to make comparison. So, as you can see on the screen, there is some connectors that you can use. I choose two connectors to give you two examples. There is the first one. The first one is, I think apples are good. Likewise, I think oranges are good. We will divide the large area of family land equally between our children. Contrast. This type of connector is used to create continuity in the text between two clauses that present contradictory ideas. Here are some examples. They like pasta, but they don't like rice. I like this model a lot. Nevertheless, I'm not going to buy it yet. Despite the rain, they went for a walk. The central area of the country is quite flat, whereas the north is hilly. Refutation. So as the name says, these are used to refute something that you consider is incorrect or you are not agree with. For example, I don't hate him. On the contrary, I'm rather fond of him. Result. When you want to express the consequence of an action, use result connectors. They'll have a similar meaning. So it's more common in spoken English and is more informal. The others are more appropriate in a formal writing context. For example, last year's results were excellent. Therefore, you will all receive a bonus. Crime rates are increasing. As a result, the government is going to hire more police officers.
Emphasis. This is used when you want to give importance to or stress something. For example, I love sleeping with my pet pig. As a matter of fact, I can't fall asleep unless he is in my bed. He may be the best dressed man around. Indeed, he has a really good taste in fashion. Time or relationships. We can use time connectors to link actions that happened at the same or in a determined moment. For example, it started to rain just as I went out. We will start as soon as everyone gets here.
Condition. When we want to express the idea that some things can happen only in certain conditions, we can use conditional connectors. For example, even if she loses her job, she will still have a job in education. Patrick won't come unless you let him drive your car.
Purpose. Here we have some examples of purpose connectors. You can use the purpose connectors when you want to express the intentions behind an action or decision.
For example, I will study math in order to improve my career. You must submit your CV so that you can eventually get a job. Conclusion. We use conclusion when we have to close a narration or we want to close a narration. It's not just narrations. We can use to make essays. For example, when we want to mark the final part of the essay, we can use conclusion connectors. For example, finally, pet pigs are fantastic words. No burglar would ever have the heart to hurt a pet pig. Meeting my boss at the club was an interesting experience. In brief, it was a disaster. Choice. This type of connector is used to express a choice between ideas or things. As the name says, it's used for that. It's not really complicated, it's just because you are in a situation that you have to choose between two things or ideas. It's just the use of this type of connector. Now I'm going to give you an example about it. You can express your ideas or just be quiet and don't give your opinion.
Sequence. In a similar way to time connectors, sequential connectors enable us to indicate the order of events. For example, he is having lunch and is coming here afterwards. Turn on the oven, next mix all the ingredients. Reason and cause. Also known as causative connectors, these are used to explain the reason behind something. For example, due to heavy traffic, we arrived half an hour late. They are having a conference call in order to finalize the contract details.
At the beginning, we explained categories, but you have to know that these categories were classified by the purpose. And now we are going to explain subordinating conjunctions, coordinating conjunctions, and transitions. These ones can be considered as categories. The only difference is that these ones classified the categories that exist. I mean, the categories that were divided by the purpose, this one classified them. So we're gonna explain how they works, what are they, and more.
Now I'm going to talk about subordinating conjunctions. Are used to create complex sentences. A subordinated conjunction doesn't need to be separate from the rest of the sentence by a comma. They can be used at the start of a sentence or in the middle. When a subordinated conjunction is used at the start of a sentence, its meaning or strength is emphasized. When the conjunction is used in the middle of a sentence, its meaning is weaker. Here we have a limited list of words that you can use. As, because, since, so that, although, though, after, before, until, while, if, unless, provided, whichever, whenever. About grammar rules, the conjunction must go before the subordinating clause, and comma must go at the end of the first clause, which can be either the subordinating or main clause. Here we have some examples. Let's talk about coordinating conjunction. These linking words give equal value to the two elements, sounds, adjectives, clauses, etc., which they coordinate. You can use words like and, or, but, yet, not. Something you have to know about two of these words is for and so are sometimes mentioned as a coordinating conjunction, but modern English rarely uses them anymore for that purpose. They are more commonly used as a subordinating conjunction.
There are some grammar rules of coordinating conjunctions. Conjunctions must go between two elements they link. It can be nouns, clauses, etc. Commas are optional, except for and but. In the case of and, if there are more than two elements being described, a comma must follow each element being connected. The and must come between the second to last and last element in links. For only two elements, no comma is necessary. In the case of but, a comma must always precede but. When to use nor and when to use or. We can use or to link nouns, adjectives, adverbs, phrases, or positive verb phrases. We can use nor to link negative verb phrases. Nor is also often used with neither. Now there are some examples of this. The first, the graduate student had to teach section and text classes. As you can see in this example, we can see the use of and you see that there is no comma because there are only two clauses. The graduate student had to teach section, take classes, and conduct research. In this example, you can see that it's necessary a comma because there are more than two elements connected with and. Now you can see and read the example but. If you notice, a comma is before but. There is a example for nor. Mary had not gone to the store, nor had she visited the gym. In this case, you can replace not with neither and have the same meaning. Transition. Transitions are words and phrases that provide a connection between ideas, sentences, and paragraphs. Transitions help to make a piece of writing flow better. They can turn disconnected pieces of ideas into a unified whole and prevent a reader from getting lost in the storyline. Since the goal of a writer is to convey information clearly and concisely, transitions help achieve that aim by providing a logical connection between one or more sections of a piece of writing. Transitions usually work best when used to link one paragraph to the next, and are usually found at the beginning of the paragraph, although they can be used anywhere when needed. There are some uses of transitions. The first one is to emphasize the organization of your ideas. That means you can organize your ideas, the list to the most important reasons. You also can organize by time. The other one is to emphasize the relationship of one idea to another. That means you can organize your ideas, the major point, example to illustrate a point, similar or opposite idea to the previous one. That's the way that you can organize it in this second use. And now, there is the different ways in which you can use transitions. The first one is transitions to show overall organizations of ideas. This is divided into three parts. The first one is words to show main points. With this, you can organize the ideas that you think are the most important, that are the main ideas for you. So you can organize by these ways that you can see in the screen in this moment. Second one is words to show examples. Obviously, it's not much to explain because it's just when you going to give examples, you can use it. And the last one is words to show conclusion. You can use it at the final of the test when you want to close everything. Transitions to show relationships. This is another type of transitions. And the first one is words that compare. This is used to show how things are alike. There are some connectors, some words that you can use for it. And there is an example. You can see the example. The example says, like Enrique, Silvia is a huge fan of hip-hop music. You can see that it's a comparison they are using to compare something. And now I have a tip for you. And yes, when a transition is used to join two words groups that could stand alone as sentences, it's preceded by a semicolon and followed by a comma. We have two sentences. Sentence 1 says, Jolene wanted an A in the course, and sentence 2 said, she didn't want to work too hard for it. And now we joined by a transition using however. The result of this, as you can see, we use a semicolon before however, and after however we put a comma. That's the idea, that the tip that I give you is going to be very useful for you.